Hello everyone. I always, or not always, the last 2 weeks I've known exactly what I want to write about. But this week I have had a bunch of different ideas pass through my mind as far as what I wanted to talk about in my email. And I'm not sure which ones I want to post on Instagram about, which ones I want to do a video about. So I decided that I would do a card draw for my email this week and just share that as part of the video. So I'm using the Archetype deck by Kim Krans. She is amazing. She did the Wild Unknown Tarot, and just a really beautifully illustrated. And the archetypes are really fascinating because she made them all herself from her own study. You know, of course, archetypes, there are like an endless amount of archetypes. So she had to really whittle down the list, and she goes into her process more in the little guidebook, but it's really interesting to read about. So I just want to ask that we are given a card that is meaningful, whatever message needs to come through will. And I'm just asking for one card. These round cards are a little bit difficult to shuffle. You can't do, or maybe you can, I can't do the traditional deck shuffle. So I just pull little sections out. Okay, so these two cards stuck out. Sometimes if a whole clump falls out, I will put them back and ask for just one card. But I found that when I ask for one card and I get two, they usually go together and they're both really impactful. So, wow. These are the Mother and the Maiden. That one is the Mother and this one is the Maiden. The Mother is card number 1 and the Maiden is card number 8. In the tarot, the first card is the Magician, who is all about creating. So that's an interesting correspondence that the Mother is also card number 1. And then the Maiden is card number 8, which in the tarot is Strength, which is a beautiful card. So I know this isn't tarot, but with the numbers, I like to, in my mind, I just think of which one corresponds. And if these cards go up really high, and so if it's a number over 21 that doesn't correspond directly to a court card or I guess major arcana, then I'll just add it up and use the single number to correspond it to a tarot card, just to kind of help me get more of an in-depth. But anyways, so the Mother and the Maiden, of course, are two cards that make sense that they would be together. I'm gonna read the Maiden first because that one was on the bottom and it kind of chronologically comes first, although it doesn't in this set. So the Maiden, the Virgin, the Princess, the Innocent. The Maiden archetype is the epitome of innocent arousal, naive sensuality, and precarious purity. She is compelling and addictive because of her flawless and youthful glow. She's the first archetype in the trifecta of Maiden, Mother, Crone, and rightfully so, because she has oh so much to learn. The Maiden is perfectly positioned for trouble to come her way and subject her to a challenge that leads to the next phase of womanhood. She must grow up, yet hesitates at the threshold, enamored by the charms of youth. The Maiden represents the side of us that is riveted and curious, drawn to shadowy forests, dark nights, and taking just one taste of poisonous fruit. Her magic is edgy and includes both shame and delight. Let yourself fall down the rabbit hole, young one. that's really awesome. I feel like that definitely resonates for me, trying to kind of get my shit together and really try. So the next card is the Mother, the Great Mother, the Feminine, the Source. And of course, this is card number 1 in this deck. So we begin our archetypal story with the Mother's love. Through her sensual, fertile, and life-giving energy, all creation takes form. Regardless of our birth story, each of our hearts beat for the first time in the warm womb of the Mother, where she offered resources from her body for the building of our own. Yet her tale is not so simple, as the Mother, especially on the earthly plane, contains both light and dark aspects of the feminine. With the best of intentions, the Mother wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she meant to set free. The Mother both nurtures and prohibits growth. She gives, yet clings. She creates, yet restricts. Amid this complex energy, the Mother holds the key to the eternal challenge of love. And that's really interesting to me, because one of the things I was going to talk about, or I thought of talking about, was relating to body image. One of my friends this week, I was talking to her about how I struggle with seeing my own body, even though intellectually I know that, number 1, it doesn't matter. Number 2, you know, anything like critical I have to say towards myself came from things outside of me that are nonsense. But what she said was that whenever she looks at her friend's dog, who's a rescue dog, who's a mutt, she always notices just the little things about her, like her legs are kind of long and gangly, and like she's got 3 little white hairs on top of her head, and just all the little things that make her the dog that she is came from, you know, this unknown line of, you know, I mean, like stretching back to the first dog ever, theoretically. And so the body that she has is like an amalgamation of so many different ancestors for her, and so many different factors that, you know, combine to create her. And I really love that, because, you know, I have lots of animals. I love animals, and it's a lot easier to, for me to think in a loving way towards them, than to myself or maybe other humans. So I thought that was really beautiful to look at ourselves like we are our most loved, most treasured pet, except we're so much more than that, and pets are more than that too. But I thought that was really neat, and that does tie into the Mother and the Maiden. You know, I definitely got my first exposure to body image and how to treat my body from my mother. And I think part of my journey of moving from the Maiden into the Mother energy is owning who and what I am and everything about me, whether I like it or not, because disliking it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it harder for me to see the blind spots that I have. So I think that's a really valuable part of the journey. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to say thank you to Spirit and the guides for joining us today and participating in our reading. I would love to hear what you think if you got something out of this, and I will see you next week. Thank you.